And now we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Today we will start talking about Visakha's granddaughter. So we have already mentioned Visakha had many grandchildren. So one of them was very famous. Her name was Dada. So she was very helpful. Also, she could manage everything for Buddha and Sangha. So yesterday we have already mentioned every day 500 bhikkhus came to her house for lunch. So sometimes it can be around 200 bhikkhus. Too much. So there will be somebody who needs her donation. Yesterday we have already mentioned her invitation to all the Sangha. So one day, Visakha came to see the Buddha with white clothes, also white hair. When she came to see the Buddha, then the Buddha also asked her, Visakha, from where have you come? With white clothes and white hair, approaching me in the middle of the day. It's very hot, but she came. Then when the Buddha asked this question, she replied, Venerable Sir, my beloved granddaughter has passed away. Therefore, I have come to the Blessed One in the middle of the day with white clothes and white hair. Then you can also imagine her beloved daughter and granddaughter. She may have very deep sorrow in her mind. Then the Buddha also consoled her. But although she had many grandchildren, that's not enough for her. Even, okay, you can imagine she had many grandchildren. So she had 20 children. So there will be, every single 20 will give birth to 20 again, right? There will be 400 grandchildren. Although she had 400 grandchildren, it's not enough for her. Although she had very big family, not enough. Not only that, now she lost one of her granddaughter. She felt sorrow very deeply. Then the Buddha also asked her, Visakha, do you wish to have as many sons and grandchildren as there are people in Savatthi? In Savatthi, it will be very big crowd of people. But the Buddha asked her, do you want to get many children and grandchildren as many as people in Savatthi? Then she replied, yes, Venerable Sir. I do get many children and grandchildren as many as people in Savatthi. So that means in the world, all kinds of sorrow, limitation, and suffering arises, come from our beloved one. So that means if we have many families, members, many relatives, every day some of them will pass away. In Savatthi, there are many, many people. Every day somebody pass away. There's a funeral every day. Actually, one. It can be 2, 3, maybe 10, 20. It also can be 100. So many people pass away in Savatthi. If like this, now she came to see the Buddha with what clothes and what hair. Then her body may be what every day. So sometimes we have many funerals. In the morning, one funeral. In the afternoon, one funeral. In the evening, one funeral. It will be whole day. She may not dry her hair anymore. Then the Buddha also say, if like this, you have to suffer a lot. Then in this world, all kinds of sorrow, limitation, and suffering arises. Why they arise? Actually, all of these arise depending on attachment to what is a deer. When what is in deer does not exist, none of these arise. Actually, the Buddha also mentions similar thing in Dhammapada. Piyadojayati is so-called. If we love somebody, if we love something, we have to worry about it. We have to be sorrow. We may feel sorrow and limitation, grief, despair. This is normal. When we love somebody and something, not only we worry, we also have fear of losing our beloved one or our belongings. This is the nature of life. The Buddha just try to console her. As long as you have attachment to somebody or something, there will be sorrow, there will be lamentation, there will be suffering. Then the Buddha also told her, therefore, those who have nothing dear anywhere in the world are happy. They are free from sorrow. Okay, now we have to analyze little by little. So we may love somebody or something. The deeper we love, the deeper we feel sorrow when we lose it. This is the nature of life. So if we don't have too much belongings, too much attachment to any desirable object or desirable things, we may have less sorrow. This is the nature of life. Then thus, those who aspire to be free from sorrow and free from dust or defilements should not cling with affection to anything in the world. So that means if we have attachment to somebody or something, of course, this is also defilement. When attachment becomes stronger, when lobha, greed, or tanha, craving becomes stronger, it will tend to clinging. Okay, here one more thing to differentiate between tanha and craving. Whenever we talk about tanha, craving, or attachment, this is just desire, strong desire to get something. When we talk about clinging or upadana, it becomes more serious. For example, we need to get a house. We need to have a house. We may try very hard. This is attachment or craving or greed. After getting it, we become more possessive, more serious about the housing. This is called clinging. Okay, if we say briefly, greed is just a normal attachment to the thing we have or we haven't got yet. When we talk about clinging upadana, it becomes very serious. We don't want to get lost. This is a very serious attachment to our belonging or living things or non-living things. So that's why when we have defilements, especially attachments or clinging, we may have sorrow. If we wish to be free from sorrow, we must try and do practice to be free from craving. So one more thing here. There are many different types of practice, but here the Buddha didn't mention how to practice or what to practice. Just mention, right? Those who aspire to be free from sorrow and free from dust of defilement should not cling with affection to anything in the world. Just mention, not to attach to anything, not to cling to anything. So the Visakha has already attained Sotapanna, path and fruition knowledge. She may have known some Dhamma knowledge, she may have some Dhamma knowledge, or she may have some practice, but since she has very strong attachment to her family, of course she cannot improve more than that. So when she encountered difficulty, when she lost her granddaughter, she feels sorry very deeply. This is normal. So we don't know many name of Visakha's granddaughter and then children. So there's also another cases at the time of the Buddha. Then one of Visakha's grandson was to ordain. At the time, people have agreement not to ordain in the Vassa, children of Vassa. Then they didn't allow Visakha's grandson to ordain. Visakha criticized. Then the Buddha also have to lay down the rules. Then we must not make any agreement, then improper agreement in the Vassa. If there's a proper agreement, is okay, right? That kind of there's not really very proper because people wouldn't have faith, they may ordain. If they lost faith, they will not ordain anymore. That kind of rule and regulation also happen in Vinaya. Actually, there are many other rules in Vinaya requested by Visakha also. Yesterday, we already mentioned Visakha requested some special conditions to offer to Sangha. This is also her request. The Buddha laid out all the rules in Mahavaka. Okay, now there are also many other part of Visakha life story, but it will be too long. The main thing is, when Visakha grew older, she offered Bodharama Monastery. So at the time, she had God's grandchildren already. We can also know he was old enough to be grandmother. Okay, now we have to move the next person in Savatthi. That is Basiniri Kosala. Actually, Basiniri Kosala cannot attain any path and fruition knowledge, although he has many opportunity to listen to discourses delivered by the Buddha. Even we have very big collections of sutta in Samyutta Nikaya, we call Kosala Samyutta. Whenever he approached the Buddha, he asked some question, or the Buddha delivers some Dhamma talks. That's his life story. This is normal for his life. Then we have one event that happened at the time of the Buddha, when the Buddha visited Savatthi. Maybe it will be the first time when the Buddha visited to Savatthi. This kind of question is a little bit strange. Also, we can also say this is also normal for ordinary people. Right now, we have been Buddhists very long time. I mean, for us, this kind of question is a little bit strange. But for non-Buddhists, this is a really possible to ask this kind of question. Okay, now here he asked this kind of question. Venerable Gautama, do you also claim that you have realized and understood the unsurpassed omniscience knowledge? So this kind of question came to the Buddha. How should the Buddha answer? Of course, the Buddha say, yes, great king. We must speak rightly when saying he has realized the Ansabasavanyuda omniscience knowledge. He referred to the Buddha, me, only to me. Buddha replying like this. So why he asked this kind of question? Actually, he had asked similar question to many other religious leaders. Many other religious leaders. Then, on hearing that, King Basenadi Kosala cannot feel happy. Then he said, there are some ascetics, there are some Brahmins. They are leader of very big groups. They are the head of big communities. They are teacher of their own sects. They are well known and famous. And for example, they teach different types of practice to their students, their disciples, their community, their followers. They are also very famous, or they have too much contentment. They have a fewness of wish. Even they don't wear the clothes because of contentment, too much contentment. So they are also long-time practitioners. Although they are also very old already. Actually, all of them appear before the Buddha. All of them are older than the Buddha. They are long-standing teacher, long-time practitioner. Although they are long-time practitioner, they don't claim that they have attained Samanyutta Jnana. They don't claim they have realized Samanyutta Jnana. Why he dare say like that? Actually, he have already asked all types of odd religious leaders. For example, Buddha Nagasapa, Makali Gosala, Nikadanada Buddha, Sanjaya Belata Buddha, Kopakuda Kachayana, Ajita Kesa Kamala. All these leaders have been to his private palace. So he had already asked the same questions to them. But actually, they don't sincerely answer to the king. Because if they say they haven't realized any higher knowledge, their devotee will suffer, right? Then their devotee will lose their faith. But since they are not cheat the king, they say they confess to the king. Oh, actually, although we declare like this, we haven't achieved any higher attainment. So they have already confessed this kind of thing to Kammaṭṭhānācariya. They are also older than the Buddha. What was a newly ordained? Okay, we can also understand in this sutta dimension, newly ordained. That is why after the first Vassa, the Buddha visited Savatthi. At the time, Kammaṭṭhānācariya Kosala asked this kind of question to the Buddha. It's a very early question. So he also say, although they say they don't claim or they don't declare that they have attained perfect enlightenment. Why you are so young and they are declare like that? Then the Buddha replied with very simple sentences. These great kings are the four things which, though young, should not be underestimated, should not be despised. This is what the Buddha reminded Vicinity of Kosala. So here, the Buddha also lists out the four things here. The first one is a Khattiya, a young prince. So young prince, if we underestimated him, or if we don't show respect, or if we bully him when he was young, we cannot know his future. When he gained the throne, he will become the king. Then the one who bullied him when he was a kid have to suffer. So that means if we do protect our life, don't bully the young prince. We cannot know his future. So Basilinda Kosala himself was a king. He knows the nature of royal family. Of course, he accepts this kind of statement. Then whoever wishes to protect their life, then they must avoid underestimating or despising Katiya, the young prince. Then we have second one, Uraga, a snake. Although it was very small, a little snake, don't play with it. It's poisonous. Because when it bites, we can also die. So it can be different shape, different colors, but it can approach anybody. But when it bites, of course, they have poison. Then they will be very risky for our life. If we want to protect ourselves from the passing away, untimely passing away, then we must not play with the snake. Or it's too little, maybe very little snake or very tiny snake. We must not play it. Then we have another one, Aki, fire. Although it's a small piece of fire, then don't look down upon it. Don't underestimate it, right? Don't despise. So when it gains fuel, even a small fuel, it can spread very easily. It can bomb, destroys everything around us. For example, we just play with the fire in the grass. Of course, we will drop a small piece of fire on the grass, it will burn entire forest. That kind of thing happen everywhere in the world now. Many countries, they may have very big forests. Somebody throw their cigarettes into the forest. There's so many drying leaves. Then it can burn entire forest. So not only that, if there's a house in the forest, it can burn the house, all the houses. The fire will never think about valuable or unvaluable. They will burn anything. That's why, although it's a small piece of fire, don't play with it. When it gains fuel, it can spoil everything. It can burn down everything. And on the last one, there's a bhikkhu, a monk. So don't look down upon a monk or underestimate a young bhikkhu. Why? Of course, he could practice well. He could attain any path and fruition knowledge anytime. Actually, all the attainment does not come from age. Young or old, if we practice, we can achieve. We can attain jhana, path and fruition knowledge. Also, it does not come from how long we practice. Right? I remember the same question in many retreats. They ask, Bante, how long does it take to see nimitta in Pa-Auk Doya? This is very common. Everywhere they have this kind of question. Then whenever they ask this kind of question, I have very simple answer. The improvement does not come from how long you practice. It just comes from how skillful you are. Right. If we are skillful, we can improve. We can achieve higher attainment. So here in the case of the orange person, as Venerable Kosala mentioned they are very long Buddhism, ascetic, ascetic. They are a very famous teacher. They have very big follow-up, very big group of followers. It doesn't mean they have high attainment. So now, what I say, these four. So why we have to respect these four? Of course, for about Katiya, Udaka, Eki, this to save our life. What about Bhikkhu? It's not. Bhikkhu will not kill your life. It cannot destroy your life. But there will be some obstacle when you are practicing. Right? If those who support the bhikkhu who practice very well or who attain higher attainments, so I mean they cannot prosper. They are mentioned in the text. Their sons, their cattle do not prosper. So that means although they are heirs, that means their son cannot take their inherit wealth. Right? They are even their new generations cannot inherit their wealth. That kind of thing also can happen. If we say briefly, if somebody disturb or destroy the high moral bhikkhus or the bhikkhu who had attained very high ranking attainment, they cannot prosper. Even their generation cannot protect them. We also mention they are like palm stumps. Palm means palm. You may have seen palm tree. If we cut palm tree, there will be stump. It cannot regrow anymore. If we cut other types of tree, for example, you may have seen many other tree in the garden, in the botanic garden in Singapore. If you cut the tree, it can regrow. But when you cut palm trees, it cannot regrow anymore. Similarly, they cannot progress their life. They cannot improve themselves. They cannot prosper. That is why we must respect high-ranking bhikkhus. This is discourse to Kammaṭṭhānācariya Kosala. So you can also imagine at the time Buddha was too young, maybe 36 years old, right? But then he will be older than the Buddha. This is the one thing. All other teachers are also older than the Buddha. Also, they are very famous long times ago, earlier than the Buddha. That's why he looked up on the Buddha. Then the Buddha said this kind of factors to Kammaṭṭhānācariya Kosala. So when hearing that, he feel very strong devotion in the Buddha. So since he had very strong devotion, he cannot keep in his mind, he speak up. This is it. In Pali we call Abhikandambo, Abhikandambandi, Abhikandambandi. Or Beneficence is excellent. It's excellent. What does it mean excellent? We can also translate it's like marvelous. It's marvelous. We can also say like that, right? Beneficence is marvelous. Marvelous. We can also translate like that. Why? That kind of short teaching become excellent. Of course, he was the king. He's wise enough. Okay, one more thing for your information. So he's the king. We can say he's wise. That's why he can become the king. But the problem is he cannot attain any path and functionality in his lifetime. We cannot know why he cannot attain. Maybe he may be Tuhiduka or something. Maybe his body is not strong enough, although he was Tuhiduka. We are not sure. But anyway, he could not attain any path and functional knowledge, although he passed away. Okay, now we have to elaborate what is really called Abhikandam Bande. The words of Blessed One is excellent. Here mentioned the words of the Blessed Gautama are excellent. Why is it excellent? Here I mention Rosana Nasana door because they destroy defilements. So that means what I mentioned, don't underestimate, don't despise this kind of people, this kind of things. Why it destroying defilements? Of course, the last one, bhikkhus, monks. Right? If we look down upon somebody, if we despise or underestimate, that means we have mana. That's why we think we are superior or better. That's why we look down upon somebody. We underestimate somebody, right? If we don't have mana, of course, we have more peacefulness. So now here, Rasa Nasana door, because they destroy defilements, that's why they are excellent. What kind of defilements? So you may have already known many different types of defilements, like greed, hatred, delusions, doubts, now pride. There are many other types of defilements, many types of impurity in our mind. So Buddha teaching can destroy all the things. That's why this is also called excellent. Another thing, Guna Dikamana door, because they lead to the attainment of virtues. Okay, one more thing here. When we say Guna Dikamana, that means we can be virtuous. That means we can do precepts. It can lead to morality. Actually, not only morality also can lead to knowledge and wisdom. That means we can get new information, new knowledge from the Buddha. This is one of the guna, quality. Another thing is morality. We can be moral. This is also one of the things. Another thing is saddha. Sorry, this is mistakes. Saddha janana do. Okay, they have one repetition, right? Be careful. That saddha janana do, because they generate faith. There's one repetition, right? Only one saddha. That means you can gain the faith. On hearing that, king of vicinity can gain faith in the Buddha. Although Buddha was too young, he had attained high ranking knowledge. He had perfect enlightenment. He had achieved perfect enlightenment. So he had gained faith in the Buddha. That's why this is also called excellent. So here we should talk about faith again. Saddha. Saddha means, for ordinary people, we can also say unshakable faith or unchangeable faith. Mostly people have very easy faith. Right? If somebody say very good, or they can attract people very well, they believe that kind of person. Although they didn't know right or wrong, they just believe easily. But in the case of saddha, it's not like that. It's unshakable faith. We can also say determined faith. This is right. That's why I believe it. That's wrong. I don't believe it. When we have this kind of faith, this is called saddha. Saddha doesn't mean blind faith. Of course, for ordinary people, we cannot get more than that also, right? But for noble person, they may have a higher level of saddha. We call adhikama saddha. Their saddha is stronger than ordinary people. Okay, the main thing is, Kimberson Nikosla can gain faith in the Buddha after listening this short discourse. Then again, because they generate wisdom. Okay, here we should talk about wisdom. There are many different levels of wisdom. But here in this case, we can know, in this sutta, we can know dangerous things. Okay? These things are dangerous. Don't play. Don't underestimate. So we can also know the consequence of this underestimating all these things. This is also called knowledge. This also can be considered as a wisdom. Of course, if we have higher wisdom like Nama Rupas, path and fruition knowledge, this very strong wisdom already. Simplicity Kosala does not have any higher attainments. We cannot say he has inside knowledge or path knowledge or fruition knowledge. Now here we have one more thing. Sattata, meaningful, full of benefit. Okay, when we talk about sattha, here atta means the meaning. All the Buddha teaching are meaningful. Also, it's also meaningful for practitioner also. Then that's what is called sattata. Then we have another one. Sabhajanata, well expressed, perfect in wording. So that means expressions are quite good, perfect. Nothing can mislead us. This is called Sabhajanata. Then the next one, Uddana Bharata, clear in wording. Okay, here in the case of Uddana Bharata, we can understand evidence. Right? It's very clear evidence. That's why this is called Uddana Bharata. So nothing can mislead the listener. So if we say these three, Sattata, Sabhajanata, Uddana Bharata, that means it is about language. The language Buddha use, the grammatical term, or the usage, the expressions, everything is very clear, very perfect. Then a few more parts. Gambhiratada, profound in meaning. Okay, so now the more we think deeply, the more we can understand the Buddha teaching. Like for example, in the case of royal family, the young prince, he may know more than us because he is the king. Personally, Kosala is the king. He could know more than our level. At the time, the king are very powerful. When somebody become the king, we can also know their mindset, how arrogant they are, right? How strong their minds. So similarly, if we analyze, we can say it's very deep and very profound, very deep meaning behind that. That's what this is called Kammaṭṭhānācariya. So this is just ordinary Dhamma talk. See, sometimes when we go and read many other suttas, it will be very deep and very profound, right? For example, we may talk about one sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, they mention Aloka Sutta or Abha Sutta or Paccota Sutta, like that, right? For example, Abha Sutta, they mention Panya, Sama, Abha, Nati. There's no brightness like wisdom. It's very short statement. So the Buddha had very strong, very bright wisdom. That's why he could attain very high level of insight knowledges. Also, he could see many world systems, so he can expand the light anywhere he like. That's why the light of wisdom is the strongest. Compared to it, there's nothing. So when we talk about Panya, it will be deeper than that. For example, when we have like a Subramantin Panya, path and fruition knowledge. We also have Mantin Panya, like a psychic power. And they also have very bright lights. Even with us now, we have very bright lights. So that means the more we recall it, or the more we trying to understand it, the deeper the meaning is. That's why Gambhiratada. Another thing is Kana Sukha do, pleasing to the ear. Of course, the Buddha didn't use very rude and very gross words. Buddha just used very simple and unpleasant words to the listeners. That's Kana Sukha do, pleasing to the ear. So that means we may have already known Vajisucharita, right speech. Among the right speech, we have Frusawacha, right? Frusawacha means aggressive words or abusive words. If we use abusive words, it cannot bleed through the ear. But sometimes Musawada, right? Although it's a Musawada, it can bleed people's ear also. That's why people can cheat people, right? Many people, crooked people, they cheat. The wicked people, they cheat many people. Listen their ear. Listen to their ears. So here, in this case, listen to the ear means subhasita, good speech, not using trusawacha. Other thing is having Kammaṭṭhānācariya, going into the heart, touching the heart. This is also one of the power, right? If you can speak very well, it will go to their heart, not to their ear. So many of Dhamma talk, right? Now we have many Dhamma talk. Some Dhamma talk of what they will go to their ear. Some Dhamma talk, they will go to their heart. But here in the case of the Buddha deliver good discourse to Vicinity Kosala. It go to his heart, attaching to the heart. This is called Hariyan Kammaṭṭhānācariya. That means we must have special power to have this kind of power, this kind of ability to win people's hearts by speak. Okay, now we have another one. Anatokasana, not praising oneself. Okay, this is one of the things we have to understand. Sometimes we just talk about our own ability, our own virtues, right? We are just revealing our own identity too much. For worldly activities or for worldly like a assembly or something, in this case will be okay. Previously, actually, I don't use my biography too much. Maybe 2023, I have a retreat in Vietnam. At the time, I had to write very long biography of myself. But it's necessary to submit permission for Dhamma talk. I had to write down my biography too much in detail. This is the first time. So the main thing is, sometimes when we say who we are, how long we have been working in this kind of things, they will believe more, right? Okay, now I will say, I have been living in Pa-Auk more than 1 decade. Of course, they will believe. Now, I have been in Pa-Auk 2 decades already. 2 decades already, right? Now, of course, they will be, I am having teacher in Pa-Auk very long time. Sometimes we also think about how long has he been doing that one? How is his skill? We have to show we are skillful. But for Buddha teaching, we don't need to show our skill too much. So that if we just talk about if we just reveal our own ability, our own identities too much, this is something improper in ordinary life. For about attainment, you have already known Parajika, right? If we declare untrue attainment, if we claim untrue attainment, it will be Parajika. If we claim or declare the true attainment in public, it will be Pachitiya. So that means although we have very good qualities, it doesn't mean we have to say everyone we meet. So in the case of the Buddha, he didn't say, I am qualified enough like this. He just say the Dhamma. If you do this, there will be consequences. So although the Ken Vicinity Kosala compared to other religious leader, he didn't say they are bad, I'm good. He didn't say like that. He just said, don't despise young one. Right? Don't despise young bhikkhu. They can achieve higher level, higher attainment. Okay, now we have to move the next part. Abara Sambhava door. Abara Vampana door. Not disparaging others. That means not criticizing or Because I say not looking down others, not talking false of other people or mistake of other people. So this is also one of the quality of the Dhamma. When we are going to give Dhamma, we have to talk about only the Dhamma. Don't talk about personality too much, right? If we talk about personality too much, this is not really Dhamma anymore. Of course, sometimes we have to talk about the story. There will be some exceptions. When we talk about some example, it will be exception. Okay, now next one. Karuna Sidalato, peace with compassion. Okay, one more thing here. Sidala also means cool or cold. So cool with compassion also possible. In reality, the Buddha speak peacefully out of compassion. So that way it can make people peaceful. But sometimes, like when we are not in good mood, we may speak something very harsh, right? It cannot make people peaceful and happy. Sometimes our tone also not quite nice, right? It can make people unhappy. So now, what has very strong compassion, that's why it can make him peaceful and peace with compassion. So the Buddha himself also have peacefulness that he can share his peacefulness with other people. Okay, now we have to move the next part. Panya Wadada Do. But Panya Wad, sorry, Dada Do, right? Purify, sorry, purified by wisdom. Yeah, Panya Awadada. Awadada means purified by wisdom. Actually, seeing Buddha's behavior, Buddha appearance, he could also feel that one. Appearance is totally different, right? Then his wisdom is strong. He could that wisdom can beautify all the defilements. That's why called purifying by wisdom. Here, in this case, we should talk about how wisdom beautifying. Actually, we have many different levels of wisdom that they can beautify the defilements, right? So even in Vipassana, the first part, we may discern nama rupas. So we can also say nama rupa parikaha jnana, the knowledge of discerning nama rupa. At the moment, we can beautify wrong view. That's what we also call ditthi visuddhi, purifications of view. If we can know nama rupas and their comparateness, their process, if we can break down comparateness, then we may have very strong perceptions of anicca, dukkha, anatta. At the same time, we can also beautify wrong view. We can overcome the wrong view. This is the first step of insight knowledge. Second step, when we are practicing cause-effect relationship, in Pali we call the knowledge of cause apprehending, paccapparika jnana. In the paccapparika jnana, the knowledge of cause apprehending, at the time, we have to overcome doubts about past lives, future lives, and this very lives. That's why it's also called Kanka Vidarana Visuddhi, the purifications of overcoming doubt. So if we summarize, the cause apprehending knowledge or the knowledge of cause apprehending can overcome doubt. The first one, overcome ditthi, wrong view. Second insight knowledge, overcome doubt. So we say ditthi vicikicca, right? It will be similar to Sotapanna. That's what we also call Chula Sotapanna. Okay, if we summarize every single insight knowledge, there's something to overcome, something to purify. That's why wisdom can beautify. What I say, wisdom can beautify the defilements. Of course, when we have very strong and mature insight knowledge, we may attain path and future knowledge. You have already known Sarapati Mega and Phala will overcome or eradicate wrong view, doubt, Silapata Paramasa, right? The wrong view about ritual, right and ritual. Also, Sakadagami cannot overcome any new defilements or eradicate any new defilements, but it can make gross defilements become weaker. Anagami will eradicate sensual desire and hatred. But influence will just eradicate all types of defilements. So the Buddha had already purified all types of things by his wisdom. That means by his wisdom, he had already eradicated all types of defilements. That's why here we call Panya Wadadato. If we cut into pieces, Panya Awadadato. Now we have the next one about. He also mentioned, right, Avatara, the Avatar door. Avatar door means delightful and fast hearing, pleasant on approach. So that means on hearing the Buddha's words, it's delightful and fast hearing. Even when he approaches the Buddha, he can feel peaceful, a different appearance. Now on hearing also, okay, one more thing here. The Buddha's voice is also very pleasant, very nice. Right now, we may have many famous singers, many famous celebrities, right? They can sing very well. Their song was very sweet. Because similarly, the Buddha's voice is also very sweet. That's why when hearing the Buddha's voice also is delightful, pleasant. Okay, now the next one. Here, we might Kammaṭṭhānācariya able to withstand examination. If we examine the Buddha teaching, this is also worthy, is also acceptable. So that means you may have known Kalama Sutta, Kammaṭṭhānācariya Sutta, right? This is very, very famous sutta. So mostly people remember, don't believe the test, don't believe hearsay, don't believe popularity, or many, many things like that, right? That at the end, the Buddha also mentioned practice. If something is beneficial and useful, it may you accept pure, accept it, believe it. So the Buddha also welcome everybody to examine, right? This is called Vimada Kammaṭṭhānācariya. Okay, another thing is Sayamana Sukhato, happy when heard, pleasant to listen to. We also said the voice, right? Now, all the conversations are also really good to listen, pleasant to listen to. This is also one of the quality of the Buddha Dhamma talk. Okay, now, the next one. Vimansiya mana Vimansiya mana hitato. Beneficial when investigated. If we investigate it, it's also beneficial. This is called Vimansiya mana hitato. These are taught by the Buddha. So you have known many times whenever the Buddha delivered discourse, the listener will say the same, Bhikkhandam Bande, Bhikkhandam Bande. Or Buddha is very excellent, venerable one, very excellent, venerable one. You have that kind of statement at the end of Dhamma talk. When you read Sutta, you can find similar expressions. Sometimes they may use Bhikkhandam Bo Gotama, Bhikkhandam Bo Gotama, like this. They use the name Gotama. But here, a person goes like just say, Bhikkhandam Bande, Bhikkhandam Bande. So whenever you read sutta, whenever you have read this kind of statement, Abhikandam Bandi, Abhikandam Bandi, or Abhikandam Bokodama, Abhikandam Bokodama, try to remember all these explanations. Because all these reasons, they address. Maybe they may some of these reasons that they address like this. So that means it's very wonderful for their minds. They cannot keep in their mind. That's why they speak out. So at the end, the first time meeting with the Buddha, then he also say, Venerable Sir, it is as if one were to turn upright what has been overturned. Okay, practically, when you overturn a cup, right, you cannot see anything inside. If you turn up, you can also see. Turn upright, then you can see very clearly. Similarly, the next one, as if one were to uncover what has been concealed. Okay, similarly, when you grab something in your hand, ask people, what's in my hand? What's in my fist? Of course, they cannot see it. They cannot say, what is that? If you unfold your palms, show what's inside your fist, they will know what is that. Then similarly, you can also understand many other things. For example, there are some properties we cover with the grass, leaves. Also give me from the soil, stone, anything we can cover. If we cover well, we cannot see it, we cannot know it. But now if we uncover, we can see it. Now the Buddha uncover the truth, then the king also can realize well. Then the next one, as if one were to show the right path to one who has gone astray. Sometime in the forest, we lost direction. Now we don't know where to go. Then, or if somebody show us the right path, we can get where we wish to go. Right? Even now, modern society, we may have GPS, right? Now, some GPS are offline, maybe possible to go here and there, but not all the time. It's the truth. Anyway, so now we also have GPS. Although we use offline GPS, but in the beginning, we have to use online first. Otherwise, we just switch off mobile data or Wi-Fi, then we can go. That might also happen, right? But anyway, GPS is not reliable all the time. The main thing is right path and wrong paths. So now, in this case, Kammaṭṭhānācariya misunderstood the Buddha. Too young, how he can be the Buddha? How he can attain perfect enlightenment? Although very old one, they are not claim that they have attained very perfect enlightenment. One young bhikkhu, newly ordained one, declare he had attained high attainment, perfect enlightenment. So he had this kind of mindset. Now, on hearing the Buddha's explanation, he are in the right. He could believe well. He could understand well why Buddha dare say like that. Okay, now and again, the last part. As if one were to bring the lamp into darkness, so that those with eyes may see. Even so, the Blessed One has made the Dhamma clear in mind in many ways. So the Buddha make his Dhamma clearer to Paseniti Kosala. That's why he addressed all these things in front of the Buddha. After that, he also take refuge in Triple Gym. He became Buddhist, we can say, right? This is Paseniti Kosala. The first time when he met the Buddha, that didn't happen. So there are many other events happen to Paseniti Kosala. We cannot find very deep Dhamma talks or very profound Dhamma talks to Paseniti Kosala. We go and read in the suttas. The Buddha just give very simple Dhamma talk. Like, for example, right action, right speech, and right thoughts. Sometimes the Buddha also talk about to overcome greed, hatred, delusion. Since he was the king, so from time to time, the Buddha also talk about arrogance, mana, to overcome mana or to give up mana. So Buddha also talk about many other things about the power. When somebody gain power, they become arrogant, like they do whatever they like, right? That kind of thing also. Buddha also reminding him not to do that kind of things. Even Buddha also talk about who love oneself, who don't love oneself, based on his question. One time, he also lived in an isolated place, alone. He also thought, who love themselves really? Who does not love themselves? And he also thought, okay, those who do good things love themselves well. Those who do wrong things do not love them well. We have that kind of understanding in his thinking. He approached the Buddha and asked, Venerable One, in my secluded area, in my secluded place, I have that kind of thinking. Is it correct? Is it truth? The Buddha also approved. So that means sometimes we have to think about ourselves, whether we really love ourselves or not. The Buddha said, when we do well, when we are doing good things, we love ourselves. If we are doing bad things, we don't love ourselves. That means we don't truly love, right? We may love ourselves, but we don't truly love when we are doing bad things. When we are doing good, then we truly love ourselves because it will be for our future. Okay, these are the conversation between Buddha and Paseniti Kosala. So there are also many other conditions of Paseniti Kosala. So I will continue tomorrow, right? If we have time, then we will continue maybe another story of the Buddha. That's another king. Also, after 20 Vassa, he met that king. So we have to introduce little by little. So I think 2 more Dhamma talks, 3 more Dhamma talks, right? Okay, if I can finish some part also, okay. Okay, now, okay, if we summarize, today we just talk about respect and underestimate. So that means if we underestimate little prince, little snake, little fire, or newly ordained monks, this is not right thing to do. This is the first thing reminded by the Buddha. At the same time, we also understand arrogance, pride. So we must give up our pride. If we are arrogant, we will not respect anybody. So respect and humble come from our own quality. That means if we try to use our own, if we try to prove we are qualified enough, sometimes we will be arrogant. If we use our ability wisely, we may be humble, and we may know how to respect other people. There are many types of respect. Respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, this is also one of the things. Now is the respect the trainings. This is also important. If we don't respectfully train, we cannot improve. Not only that, we also have mutual respect. In Bali, we call Anya Manya Garawa. But to respect each other, it will make our community improve. That's why, by following Buddha teaching, we can also respect training, we can also respect each other, then there will be for the improvement of our future. May you all be able to practice 3 trainings, and may you all be able to realize final cessation and not suffering.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhante. Okay, Bhante, there's a question just now. Okay, the question is, Sally asks, I'm a foreign Sally currently staying outside Pa-Auk Meditation Center without a teacher or meditation community. I think he has some reason of staying there. Although I have enough free time, I find it difficult to maintain self-discipline in meditation as before. I'm often distracted by studying Dhamma on the phone and what lagging. Okay, Gochara Sapya. She wrote, could kindly advise how I should structure my daily practice to be effective when I practice alone, and how can I know whether I'm practicing respectfully?
Okay, so that means you may need some motivation, right?
Yes,
So some motivation means, okay, when you read Dhammapada story, you can find many diligent bhikkhus who practice respectfully. If you have that kind of motivation, you can practice respectfully. This is one thing, right? Another thing is you must recall the benefit of practice. If you can recall the benefit of practice, you can practice better also. This is one thing. Okay, another thing, listen to the Dhamma talk. So you must also choose Dhamma talk. Some Dhamma talk are not useful for meditators. You may have many other knowledges. Sometimes you have many unnecessary knowledges make you doubt, right? It can make you confuse more. So, okay, even learning, you must choose the topic. For example, just learning about meditation. If you're practicing anapanasati, just learn anapanasati. Try to understand everything thoroughly. It will be better for you to practice. So from time to time, reading the books, especially about meditation, you are practicing, it will be helpful. Okay, if we summarize, you need motivation. You must understand your meditation subject. Another thing is you must choose the subject to learn. It will be easier for you to practice. Okay.
Okay, actually, she has another question. She has no, she finds despair and sorrow when he cannot find a suitable meditation teacher. So Bhante, is this kind of despair and sorrow is wholesome inclination to train under good meditation teacher? Is it a wholesome
Actually,
inclination? Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you can, if you have self-respect, right? You can practice also. Okay, one more thing. Good teacher, don't expect too much, right? Don't expect good teacher all the time. Or if you are fortunate enough, you may have good teacher. If you're not fortunate enough, you cannot see good teacher. So sometimes, instead of waiting for a good teacher, you must change yourself to be a better person. It will be easier for you. Okay? Etawata cha ammehi sambadam punya sambadam sabbe deva numodantu sabbe buddha numodantu sabbe saddha numodantu sabba sampati siddhya idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo Idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo idame bunyam asawakaya waham hotu idame bunyam nibbanasa patriyo hotu mama bunya bhagam sabba sadhanam pajemi te sabbe me samam bunya bhagam lavandu sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu.